Hello everyone, I am back again with another episode of PMP Exam Prep Power Hour. And today we are talking about project integration management based on the advice we got in our last session. We took that advice and I brought some ideas related to project integration management, which we can discuss in the initial 15 to 20 minutes. And after that, we will talk about your specific questions. The project integration management, initially it was looking like just one topic. Actually, a lot of things goes into project integration management. So we will explore them one by one. So I'm your host, Saket Bansal. I am in the business of agile education, project management, consulting, and also training people on PMP certification. So if you want to do a PMP, you can probably come to me and attend my class and we can help you in getting certified fast. So with this, I start with my topics. Yeah. Uh, if you're watching me on LinkedIn or on YouTube, you can put your comment in the comment section. They will reach me. That's the one way of putting your idea here. And yeah, we will take them as I finished my initial agenda related to project integration management. Once I am done, we will take the topic and the questions coming from the group. Yeah, the community topics will come once the agenda is over. So let's start. So PMP exam content outline and project integration. So many of you may know that project integration management is a one of the knowledge area in PMBOK 6, but it is not a knowledge area in PMBOK 7 because PMBOK 7 is designed differently. But yes, PMI's process guide also takes care of all the processes which were there in project integration management. I still recommend the people who are preparing for current PMP exam probably get benefit if they get an understanding of project integration management from PMBOK 6 related topics. The project integration management gives you many exam content outline tasks. So let me show you a few details here. So let's see where I can find this PMP exam practice guide. No, so I can't locate my file somewhere. I don't know where it is. So in the exam content outline space, let me open up directly from pmi.org. I think that will be easier for me to show you. And so I'm going to pmi.org and let me share the tab. Present, share screen, and pmi.org. This is where I am right now. And when I go to a PMP page, so you have a PMP page there, and I can scroll down and focus on the exam content outline book. Yeah, this is something I used to open a lot of time initially. And then this book opens up and you can see the various tasks which will be contributing to your exam. That's there. Now, project integration management starts with people domain. So you have a task related to build shared understanding about the project. Yeah? Actually, it's all about integration management. So we should know where we are heading. We should be consistently viewing our business values, our goals together. So with the help of project charter creation, with the help of kickoff meeting, you achieve this shared understanding. So this is in a way project integration management topic from a people domain. Then we go further in the process domain space. And we have a specific task which are directly mapping to project integration management. So we have an integrate project planning activities, task 9. This is actually saying that whatever you do as a plan, maybe you prepare scope related documents, you create project schedule, you create cost, you create quality, everything should be integrated at the end, creating the integrated project management plan. That's also a project integration management knowledge area topic. Then you need to manage project changes. So once you are done with integrated plan, you need to make sure that we are moving towards our goal in the consistent manner. So that's also project integration management topic coming from your PMBOK 6 knowledge area. Managing project artifact, doing configuration management and maintaining versions and all is discussed in the project integration management. So there are many things. Yeah, a selection of a project lifecycle. It is in our PMBOK 6 topics. This is also a part of project integration management area. And then some amount of governance. And finally, talking about phase closure, project closure, that is also coming out of project integration management. So the point I'm trying to make here is that you have around more than 6 tasks which are covered in that knowledge area of project integration management. And if I say that overall there are 35 tasks and we have 180 questions, there is no rule from a PMI perspective that each task will give you 4 questions. But if I say so, then this task can give me around 20-25 questions, maybe 50% agile, 50% non-agile. So overall, even if I talk about predictive lifecycle, I can get around 12 to 15 questions, which has a touch of project integration management. Again, in the PMP exam, you may have multiple topics coming together in the question. The point I'm trying to make is it's an important topic to consider. And if you have a grip on it, you set yourself for many questions right in your PMP exam. Now, let's discuss it briefly. So we start with creating a common understanding about our project objective. So see, project integration is all about making sure from start till end, project is consistently going towards project objectives. So in order to make sure, we need to start right. So the stakeholders and the project team, the project artifact should all talk about one language. So as a project manager, I will say, I want to run this project in the integrated manner so that we aggregate all of our efforts. We work in a synergy manner. We collaborate and produce project objective. That's the project integration management. To start with, I need to have an agreement on what is the project objective. If that itself is missing, then the whole thing will start falling apart. In a specific topics, we use a term called project charter. We can say, yes, project charter can be used to create a common understanding about our project objective, common understanding of our project limitations, constraints, who are the key player, what is the high level risk. So that's a good starting point. We can do some kind of workshops. We can do project kickoff meeting so that we ensure the stakeholders and the project team is looking for the common value. So here we start in the direction level and a vision level alignment with. Once that vision level alignment is there, or I would say, again, no sequence, but the vision level alignment has to be there, then we should have an alignment about project lifecycle. So project lifecycle is something which binds the whole project together. So project lifecycle tells that how are we going to work, what kind of artifacts we will produce, what kind of phases we'll go through, what kind of reviews we will have. So high-level grouping of various types of activity. In the case of predictive lifecycle, that is where we are focusing on. In case of adaptive lifecycle, it may only focus on identifying the way of working. We can say, okay, we will keep working on the changes all the time. We will work every iteration. We will take feedback at the end of every iteration. That's the life cycle. So we need to make sure that stakeholder, project manager, and the project team has a clear, consistent understanding about project life cycle. Now, somebody will say, oh, does it mean that we should have an agreement of are we using waterfall or are we using agile? Yeah. Or we should know that how are we doing various activities related to planning, monitoring, etc. It is not just limited to agile, non-agile. Even in the agile, you may have various artifacts. Sometimes you want to use, sometimes you don't. Yeah. Even in a predictive life cycle, sometimes you want to have a 5 phases, sometimes you may have a 7 phases, 10 phases. So we need to understand if for this given project, what kind of phased activity we'll do, what kind of milestones we will put in, and how are we going to take requirement, how are we going to finalize requirement, how are we going to track our project schedules. So that approach level. As of now, we don't have a final project schedule. As of now, we don't have all those artifacts created, but we need to have an understanding of which life cycle we are using. So yes, it starts with life cycle approach, predictive, adaptive, hybrid. That's an approach. And inside the approach, we need to come up with the exact life cycle which we are going to use in our project with the help of using organization process assets and providing tailoring. So irrespective of approach, we need to still have an agreement on project life cycle. The project life cycle will give a skeleton to your project integration. The project life cycle will give a skeleton to your project planning and overall integrating and delivery activities. And that's why that's our second step after we have a common understanding about the value that we need to have an agreement on our project life cycle. Then we focus on integrated planning as per our exam content outline task as well. So what does it mean and where it focuses more? In case of predictive life cycle, the integrated planning is a very heavy content as we discussed in some of our previous sessions. Whereas in the adaptive life cycle, the continuous planning is happening. So continuous integration will also happening. So planning is done in the incremental and integrated manner. But in both the cases, we need to have an integrated approach for our project goal. Yeah, it should not happen. One section of my project team is working in the X direction, another section is working in a Y direction, and we are just consuming the energy of the organization. We should be integrated. We should be aligned. That has to be ensured. In case of predictive life cycle, this all means preparing project management plan. That's a little bit coming in the second section in more detail. So it is more about integrating various planning effort. In case of adaptive life cycle, it might means continuous feedback, continuous coordinating with the multiple subunits of your project. There is a possibility of more than one agile team working in your project. There could be a possibility of non-agile team working in your project in the hybrid world. So we need to ensure that we are frequently integrating our dependencies, we are taking care of consistent view, and we have a consolidated idea of how are we progressing forward, and we can refine these ideas as we go along. But integration of our effort is needed in both the approaches or in the hybrid approaches as well. So that's the another aspect. Then we have a big thing called project management plan. Yeah. So for a PMP exam perspective, whenever the word project management plan comes in, you know that all possible plans are integrated here. And it is only relevant in a predictive or hybrid life cycle. It is not at all relevant in the adaptive life cycle. But in the predictive, it is very well defined. In the hybrid, it could be well defined or less well defined. But we can expect that there will be something called project management plan. So what is project management plan? It is something which tells us how are we going to do the whole project execution. So I need to come up with a plan in the advance. I need to take an agreement from the stakeholder that this is how I'm going to do things, so that they can give me an approval and I can execute afterwards. So I plan about scope. I plan about project timeline scheduling. I plan about costing. I plan about possible risk which can derail my plan. I plan about various quality policies. All your PMP exam content outline planning areas you plan. Yeah. But the project integration management is talking about all these plan has to be integrated at the end. Yeah. So it should not happen that your scheduling is talking about a particular activity, but the costing is not done for those activities. Yeah. Your people are allocated to the project activities, but in your resource calendar, they are not yet allocated to your project team. Or they have applied for leaves during those times, some particular person, and the person is still allocated fully in the project activity. Then we don't have an integration. You have a risk register talking about we need to mitigate this particular risk by doing ABC activities, but those ABC activities are missing in your project schedule. Then we don't have an integrated project management plan. So as we keep telling that integration of all the aspects of the planning is a project manager accountability, and mostly responsibility also. You will do it yourself, and you need to make sure that we have a consistent view of our upcoming project. So we start with common understanding. The goal is clear. We have a skeleton of our plan clear, and then we fill the skeleton with the help of detailed plan, which is called project management plan. This is how we are going in the integrated manner. Now, as we learn in our project management, doing it once is not enough. Yeah? We need to make sure that we are continuously remain aligned. So we need to have continuous assessment of our project status, if I use that word. Now, in our PMBOK 6 language or process guide language, we use the accumulation of work performance data, work performance information, and work performance report, and ensuring that we are integrating everything and presenting to the respective stakeholder. And as a project manager, you are yourself analyzing to find out, are we going in a right direction? So what these three words means? So we can say we do a lot of project activities. Oh, you have done this activity today? Yes, no. Oh, I was planned to do it, but I have not done it. Okay, no. So we can generate, oh, this email has received, this delivery has made, this invoice has come. So there are a lot of interactions happening. So you collect that data. And by collecting that data, you start putting some processing on it. You can say, okay, let me analyze how are we doing in a project schedule. Let me analyze how are we doing in project costing. Let me analyze how are we doing in quality aspects. So you analyze those data and try to see various aspects, and you generate some variance information, you generate some trends. Yeah? So that is something you are creating work performance information. Now this information which is saying it is not about that we have just done this invoice. We are saying we have done this invoice, but it is 10 days delayed than our initially estimated. and that will impact our upcoming milestone. So that is a work performance information. So something happened, the data get converted into information. Now various aspects of the project information we integrate together and we prepare a work performance report. You can say now this is a whole report which aspects all the project performance related information are put together so that in a one glance we can see where we are. So say you want to talk about where we are in a project, I will talk about my work performance report or performance reports, which will be talking about all the aspects of the project. So we can see where we are in a scheduling, where we are in a costing, what kind of escalations we are dealing with, how much results we are left with. All those informations are coming together. And with that, as a project manager, why we are discussing it? Because it's an integration management job. It's an integration management job by keeping the integration consistent. It can say by doing this, I keep the whole project plan together and I keep my stakeholder also informed so that we are consistently day by day, week by week is moving in the integrated manner to achieve our project objective. Our one portion of the project is not getting somewhere distracted and achieving something else. We are towards the synergy goal. We are working together. So as a project manager, you do all this continuous assessment. If something is misaligned, you need to do corrective and preventive actions. If something is going beyond your limit, you probably need to escalate to the stakeholder as per your governance plan. But overall, I need to keep everything together. So that's an integration management aspect as well. Now, the another integration management aspect comes, especially with the predictive lifecycle more seriously, but it is relevant for adaptive lifecycle also, managing changes. So say we have created the integrated approach for project, we have prepared the project management plan, we have baselined the scope, schedule and everything. But when we are moving forward, we are facing realities. And these realities will ask us to deviate from our previously created plan because life is dynamic. We can't just remain in the mindset which was there during the planning stage. But at the same time, this thing should not take us towards a direction which may not be intention of the stakeholder when they gave this project to us. So we need to make sure that we need to adapt, but at the same time, we need to make sure that we are adapting for achieving the project objective. So in that manner, in our project integration management, we talk about integrated change control. So we are saying, say someone is asking to change a scope. I should make sure when I'm changing the scope, I need to have an integrated view, how this change of the scope is going to impact the scheduling activity, how it is going to impact our people who are allocated to this work, how it is getting impacted to a cost, does it have any impact on our compliance related requirement, does it produce any risk on our quality things? So I need to take a holistic view. I can say, yes, there is an input, but I need to see, is it the whole project aspects are well integrating to this particular change. So we make the decision based on considering that integrated view, and that is called managing change using the project integration management, and which is called integrated or change control. Now somebody will say, how do you do in Agile? So see, in Agile, you need to do the same thing, but you don't do with the help of change request, and you don't do with the help of documentation. You do the integrated review of the new idea. You look at a cost benefit of new idea, but you do as a part of backlog refinement. You may have people like a product owner who can do the homework and probably discuss few ideas with team members and stakeholders and take a call. So the aspect of any change should ensure in the adaptive life cycle also the idea which we have taken for a product roadmap. If we are deviating from that idea, we need to make sure the respective stakeholders are informed about it. If we are not deviating from that idea, then we can continue changing and without probably making a multiple level of communication. But ultimately, the product owner or the team which is working to identify the requirement and prioritizing it, they are always taking an integrated and consistent view for the changes which they are doing and make sure that we remain aligned. Now, the only difference here is in case of adaptive life cycle, since we don't have a very defined plan, our assumption is we are going to change and we are doing incremental planning only. So it will not require that complicated impact analysis. So think like this, you have a 100-page book and someone is saying change one page out of book. And you know this page is connected to another 99 pages. Then you need to do a little bit serious effort and he says, guys, please think about it very carefully and then we'll define this book. Now, such kind of predictive life cycle, you should not have these kind of changes happening every day, else it will make you confused. But sometime, maybe once in 2 months or 1 month, you have a change. And that way you probably review everything and then you decide about it. That's your predictive life cycle and integrated change control. In case of adaptive life cycle, you can say we don't have a 100-page book. We have a 20-page book which is written, which is well understood, and we have a visibility of 10 pages which are coming next. And if something is changing, then it is just a small thing which we have to evaluate relatively, because it is not well connected and there is no big theory about it. So I can see and I can do a quick feedback. I can talk to respective stakeholder and I can do it little fast, because the design is like this. These kind of changes are coming every other day. So this is happening, and we are keeping our design in such a way so that we can do impact analysis faster and less documented manner. But overall, it is about keeping things integrated and focusing towards the common goal. Yeah? So that's the project integration management aspects. Now, the another important aspect of integration management is phase closure, phase end reviews, and project closure. Yeah. So I took it in 2 steps. So especially in a predictive life cycle, you divide the whole project into phases, connecting back to project lifecycle selection. So with the help of your organization process asset, with the help of your stakeholder conversation, you have picked a particular skeleton which will help you, guide you to execute the project. That's the project lifecycle. Now, inside that skeleton, you have a boxes, which is your phases. You are doing a particular type of phased activity in some space, say requirement analysis, design, development, test, foundational work, deployment work, marketing work. So those could be a kind of a phases. So now these phases are happening. You are passing through these steps, yeah, from one phase to another phase. You need to do a closure of the phases. Now, it is usually easy to understand the phase as a sequential process, like we will close one phase and start the another phase. But the phase could be parallel also. There is a possibility. But overall, project integration management should talk about the right design of these phases, identifying the points. When do we declare a particular phase close? When do we start the next phase? What kind of artifact we generate? What kind of review we should do? Sometimes it is called phase end reviews, milestone reviews, kill gate reviews, where the governance people will get involved. But why are we doing it? Very critically, because we want to make sure we are integrated in our approach. We are integrated with our understanding. So say my stakeholders were critically involved in the beginning when we baseline the project management plan. After that, when we have achieved some milestone as per their understanding, they want to review and say, okay, guys, we have done till here and this is we are heading towards. Looks like we are doing right. I think we can continue. So we want to make sure that integrated approach of the project is taken at a frequent basis, and that is something is a phase end and phase closure process. Similarly, in the agile way of working, we don't have a phase, but we do have a closure of iterations, which is happening more frequently. So at the end of an iteration, we are involving the respective stakeholder. We are taking an integrated view of what has been developed, and we are integratedly view. We are saying where we are going next, and those inputs and ideas are discussed in the iteration review, sprint review, and they will get prioritized in our backlog refinement. So some amount of closure related activities are coming. We won't say phase closure because it is happening pretty frequently, but a critical review where more stakeholders are involved. They may not be involved on a day-to-day basis. When we are closing an iteration, we do a review of what is achieved, what we have learned from it, how do we correct our future directions. So lesson learned / retrospective meetings also happen in case of iteration or a sprint closure. And same thing happening in the predictive life cycle when we are closing our phases. So this is how we integrate. And finally, the project closure. So the project integration management has to take care of start till end. Yeah? So it is the whole life of the project is expected to be integrated and moving towards the project objective. So integration management talks about what kind of transitioning activity you have to do, what kind of documentation you should do, how do you hand over the work, what kind of support you have to provide, what kind of training you need to provide. You may also talk about archiving of your documentation, reporting and recording the final lesson learned, releasing the people, rewarding them for their work and appreciation. All those things will be part of closing activity, which is also get covered in a project integration management. So many of these tasks, if you want to have a little grip on it, the PMBOK 6 project integration management, I think it's a lesson number 4, is a good lesson. Yeah, again, you don't have to worry about input, output tools and technique. No, not needed. But the essence has to be understood for a life cycle selection, for a project charter, for preparation of a project management plan, the utility of a project management plan and the baselines, understanding of continuous tracking, monitoring, how we are doing, ensuring that we are at par with our understanding with our stakeholder, then focusing on keeping the change in the integrated manner, not letting things going left and right, and finally taking the whole project together and closing it in an appropriate manner and doing intermediate project closures as well. So that all is about project integration management. If done well, 2025 predictive life cycle, 2025 adaptive life cycle questions will be influenced by the 6-7 tasks which we have in a project integration management. Yeah. Okay, so I'm done with my 20-minute speech. I think I took 5 minutes extra today, and now I am exploring with you. If you have some questions for me, we can talk and explore together here. Yeah, that's something we can do in this particular area. So I am just seeing if everything is looking good in LinkedIn and YouTube. So if you have any follow-up query related to this topic or something else, related to project management, usually that is where we stick. And if you feel I can probably add value, then you put the query. If there is nothing, no problem. Yeah, we are here to explore, and if something comes up, we can discuss that. So, interesting question. If I start as a new project manager, what should be my first task so that I start on a good note? So, I would say you are a new project manager in the existing project, or you are a new project manager in the ongoing project. So, first is something we need to clarify. That is important. If I am in a new project, then I need to definitely study about the project values, project details, project documents, whatever is available, and work with the stakeholders, listen to them, understand their expectations, and be prompt to record these things, repeat back to them, and work with my organization stakeholder to find out and create the project team. So in that case, you will be closely working with your project management office, who will probably provide the people and the infrastructure for you to get started on your project. You will be definitely closely working with your stakeholders. They may be a salespeople who might have got the contract from the client, or maybe the strategic people who might have approved the business case to get things done. So we need to build those relationships. So I need to listen to them, say hello to them, and I need to study about the project. I need to really understand the business domain. Yeah, that's something I do. And when I do it, then things are starting good, because I am not, say, finding difficulty to understand user requirement. I can work with my team very well. So that's the starting point. If you are joining the existing running project, then also you need to start with observation. You can't just jump and say, this is wrong, this is right, and I have studied project management, I have done PMP, and I will tell you what to do. So I personally believe PMP hardly touches the surface of project management. There is a lot of depth in the project management. So for example, somebody might be PMP certified just knowing what is risk and what is the difference between risk and issue. But maybe the person is unable to identify risk if I give him a description of a requirement, or may not be able to uh, uh, communicate the risk in the effective manner so stakeholder really understand what he's talking about. That kind of skill is not tested in the PMP certification. So I need to be clear that I need to learn about this context. So I get a new project, I try to understand what are the current state. Maybe I look into the PMIS, project management information system. I try to develop relationship, the new connect with the team member, with the stakeholders. I try to understand their concerns, mainly observation. So I'm making notes, I'm observing, and then I see, is there anything ready-made I can do for these guys? Probably I can take care of some process issue, I can take care of some follow-up. I become a useful person for the team before I try to become a direction giver or leader to the team. So in general, we do believe in servant leadership for a project manager as well. So you should be always a useful person. You should be something which can help them in moving forward. But initially, you should be truly focusing on learning and being useful for the project team. Once you do these things, I think you will develop a relationship. You will create a trust with your team members and stakeholder, and then probably you will start focusing on good facilitation, mentoring, coaching to the team members. Initially, mentoring, coaching of the team member may not happen because they are still developing a desired amount of. They are still looking for a desired amount of trust with you. Yeah. So start with learning, and then try to find out how can you become useful for your project team. Again, exact details may vary depending upon where you land and what is the situation. I know sometime I have landed in the project which is already boiling. Yeah. And everyone is escalating, and they kind of remove the previous project manager because they just want to get rid of him and hope that someone else will solve it. And you may be the next project manager who is expected to solve it. People have very high expectation from you. Yeah. But the good thing is you are starting fresh, so you don't have a background of getting blamed for something which happened in the past. But at the same time, you need to make up the situation fast and show them some path forward. So in those cases, you probably need to do extra effort to probably do a stakeholder expectation management. Yeah, making sure that you really start listening to them. You make teams listening to the stakeholders, majorly applying conflict management and stakeholder engagement skills, and that makes you move faster. Yeah, so crisis project manager movement, and I would say any project manager, every 1 or 2 years you will have that situation. You will get in a project where you are joining something which is already boiling. I faced it, yeah, multiple times, so I probably think everybody gets it, but that could be a little different. Yeah. So can the business analyst and project manager role can have an overlap when it comes to writing requirement, getting requirement from the stakeholder? The answer is, in my observation, 70 to 80% time, yes. And 60% time, you don't have a BA, you are the BA. Yeah, that's also a possibility. So depending upon the size of the project, if you are having 10, 15, 20 people project size, most likely good percentage of business analysis activities done by you as a project manager alone. If you have a little bigger project, maybe a 50 plus people project, and we do want, and it's a specialized area, and the organization thinks of investing in business analysts as a dedicated skills, then they may have a dedicated people who are working on business analysis part. So, but in general, and that's why the PMI also came up with a business analysis certification program. I do see project manager having the extended skills, secondary skill, which is focusing on stakeholder requirement understanding, facilitating prioritization workshop, solutioning demo, supporting in a pre-sales activity. These are usual activities which are done and expected by project manager. Now, some organization might be looking for a technical project manager. They are saying, no, 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 we don't need you customer focusing. You need to focus on the teams. In those cases, the project manager is more technology oriented. Then you will see a requirement like we need a .NET project manager, we need Java project manager, like that. Because in that case, they are saying the upper part is taken care. We have a client who will give a good requirement. You just need to focus on execution of it. Then you will just focus on the team level work which is done by your teams. Yeah, so there is a possibility, but I usually see a good value in learning domain, and that's why in the PMP exam we have a 8% which focuses on learning business domain. We do have a good topic around project scope management. We do expect the project manager to understand project scope statement, WBS, requirement document, requirement prioritization at a sufficient level. In case of adaptive lifecycle, we do talk about user stories prioritization, user story mapping, user persona. All these topics are covered just to educate and expect project managers should be demonstrating these skills. Whatever we learn in a PMP exam, I personally believe we are learning at a surface level. For example, we learn user story, but we don't create user story. We may learn about user persona, we don't create user personas, we don't create user story map, but we learn about this term. So as soon as the term is coming in the industry, it will be expected that we can do it. So if someone wants to grow their project management skills, just don't limit your knowledge. Maybe after certification you can focus, but don't think of that I just need to understand user stories, a one way of talking requirement in the agile, and it has this particular format, and there is a invest which is a good user story. Maybe this much information is good enough for a PMP exam. You will be done. Yeah, but may not be good enough when you are really working in the adaptive lifecycle projects, because there will be a lot of challenges. You need to create a user story, you need to split a user story. People will not understand what is user story, and you are expected to teach them, mentor them, and help them by showing it, doing it, that what is user story. So that is true for scope document also, user story also. All the topics of your PMP, especially related to scope schedule, should be expertised by the project manager. Okay, so that's the idea. I do see that I think we are doing good on LinkedIn. It is not impacted by some technical glitch. Looks like things are working well, but I don't have a query coming from LinkedIn, so hopefully it is working. Yeah, that's something I can assume, but yes. So today we also had that 3.5 hour session on project risk management. It was interesting. We had conversation and explored ideas about creating a risk management plan. The template which I had, I explained that template in the class. We also looked at the risk register which I have prepared, and we explored the content out of it. Yeah, so we spent around 3.5 hours exploring predictive life cycle risk, a little bit about adaptive as well. So that was just like we did in the morning today. Okay, looks like we are settling down for today's session, if I see it that way. Okay, I just take a pause for another 30 seconds and see if we have any query, else we close. Okay, so it looks like we are more or less done with this project integration management area and the queries which came for a week here. Yes, the PMP exam, people are passing without much of difficulty. It is not difficult. We had a situation this time where one of our participants just went ahead and gave the exam even without doing much of the mock tests, and passed. Yeah. So if you have a basic understanding of project management, have an experience, you know the terminology, you can sit for 4 hours, you can manage your time, 70% chances you will pass the exam without thinking too much about study. So, but yeah, use the PMP exam ideas to build further. That is something my usual recommendation. And I do see many of the people who have followed that recommendation and our content, they got good growth in their project management profession. They did multiple career transitioning since they did our PMP certification, and they got many ideas. So that is something one can extract out of it. Okay, so I think we can close now. So thank you everyone for participating, and we will talk again in our next session. If you have any follow-up query, you can put in a comment anyway. I will look into it, yeah, once it reaches me. Yeah. Usually the comment remains open afterwards as well. And this video will be available in our YouTube as well as in a LinkedIn. As soon as we finish our stream, you can watch it in the recorded area. Yeah. So thank you for your participation. Bye for now.